This is another one of my re-story tales, and this one is called Barbie Doll. The government had turned everything upside down and around. I left all my friends at my old school because Mama said the zones were different, and that meant that there were lines in the street that we could not cross. I had to go to a new school for fourth grade and leave my old friends and my teacher behind at the other school. As I walked to the new school, I looked down on the ground, watching my feet take every step. Funny, I never saw those lines that my mama keeps talking about. When I arrived at Central Gardens Elementary School, everything looked normal, just different. There were kids there I already knew from church and from the grocery store and from the playground and the library down the street. All that was different was the person sitting behind the desk. My teacher was a Barbie doll. A Barbie doll. Of course, not a real Barbie doll, but she looked like all the Barbie dolls I played with at home. She was tall, with a perky little nose and feet and a pink and white striped dress that stopped right at her knees. She had long blonde hair that she wore in a ponytail with a big pink bow and a shiny blue eyes that sparkled when she smiled. She called my name on the roll as she walked across the room so perfectly, like the ladies I saw on TV that talked about toothpaste and shake and bake dinners. She was bright and white and beautiful, and I wanted to be like her. I loved her immediately. She was the best teacher I had ever had, and every day I almost ran to school to see her. Her name was Miss Halderman. My grades were always very good. So, in no time at all, Miss Halderman made me class monitor, and I got to sit with her at lunchtime. I could hardly wait. We would sit at lunch and talk about lots of stuff. I could tell that we were going to become really good friends. And I was suddenly glad that the government had drawn those lines in the street so that I could meet Miss Haldeman, even though I couldn't see the lines. That night, I decided to write my Miss Haldeman a poem, something really, really special that I would give her the next morning. I worked on it all night until it was perfect. The next day, I handed it to her along with my homework. "This is for you, Miss Haldeman," I said. "What is it?" she asked. "It's a poem I wrote for you." I whispered a little bit so that the other kids could not be jealous and intrude on this very, very special moment with me and my teacher. Miss Haldeman looked quickly at the words. "You wrote this?" she said. "Yes," I exclaimed happily. Miss Haldeman smiled, put the poem on her desk, and started class. At lunch time, she came to me and said, "Danita, may I see you after school?" "Yes, Miss Haldeman." "Yes, ma'am," I said, grinning from ear to ear. The day could not go by fast enough. I waited for the classroom to clear out so I could see and be with my very special teacher for this very special moment. My big, beautiful Barbie doll teacher wanted to talk to me. I approached her desk, but she was not smiling. "Danita," she said very gently at first, "who really wrote this?" I must have looked puzzled because she asked the same question again. This time, her face looked a little stern and kind of mad. "Young lady, I asked you a question. Who wrote this?" "Well, I did," I said. I repeated, and in that moment, she took my poem and ripped it in half and tossed it in the trash can on the far side of the room. The trash can I had emptied many, many times. You know, Danita, it's wrong to take other people's words and say that they're your own. You could not possibly have written this. Well, I backed away from Miss Haldeman slowly, never answering her question at all, and she repeatedly called my name. I packed my little book bag and slowly walked out of the door. On the long walk home, I could hardly remember the harsh words that Miss Haldeman said, but I did remember her face, so twisted with something I had never seen before. It was in that moment that I decided that I would grow up to be something else. I decided that I wanted to be a writer and possibly a teacher, and everything I wrote and everything I said would help other little girls and even little boys feel good about their long walks home. I was too young then to know what Miss Haldeman was feeling to talk to me in such a way. As I got older, however, growing into an adult, the revolutionist doctrines of many molded me, giving me pride in my black skin and kinky hair, which was a good thing, and I thank those teachers. But those lessons also came with something else. That was the year I stopped playing with dolls. Today, I define that something else as the long walk that Miss Haldeman also had to take to come to be my teacher at my school, even to begin with. I realized the lines she too had to cross, willingly or otherwise, to sit at that desk. She too left all her friends at her old school, who most likely walked like her and talked like her and thought like her. She left them all and jumped into the adventurous something else with me. After years of my own hurdles, I honor the imaginary zones of humanity that lived in Miss Haldeman's head, and I pray for her, as I do myself, that those barriers were not the burdens she carried with her for a lifetime. You know, in many ways, I was privileged to be her teacher, as she was mine, and I hope that ours was a kind of memory to keep. And I also hope that my militant reserve and respectful silence for the rest of the school year spoke loud enough to create a shift somewhere in Miss Haldeman's being. I sincerely thank her for the part she played in making me the woman I am today. And inside, I bow to her. You know, sometimes it's hard to see the lines, and we just have to cross them anyway.